Good morning, people. You hear all my footsteps? I love this tree. Look at all the fruit. Actually, it's not the most abundant one because the birds have already began here. Look at all that fruit. Count them. So we got surprise for you today, people, from the deep south, or the western south. What would you call it? Texas?
Just Texas.
Just Texas. the Republic of Texas, right? Mm-hmm. And they didn't come in on this gadget, but they're here. You actually need special permission to fly a drone, you know. That's not a bird.
No, he has a license.
Oh no, he needs a license from us to fly it here, but that's okay.
He does.
From us? Oh really? Oh yeah, he has the reception.
Oh, here at
Yeah.
Magdala?
No. We'll give him a hard time. It's actually restricted on public places in Israel.
Without the license.
Yeah. Oh, for Israel itself.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's very good.
Did you see the bee's nest over here?
No.
In the wall?
You tell me.
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah, up over here. Building
Okay.
it. They've got
A hive. Interesting. We have a new feature here that Pastor Bill is going to show me.
Up in here.
Uh-huh.
And over on this side you can see the
Okay.
And up into that little area over there.
Okay. And they were probably our neighbors because they disappeared from over near our house. So people, we won't go too close. We don't want to get them anxious, but there's some bees in here. Sorry about that. This little Osmo infantry. Oh, there they are. Look at all the little yellows. If you're afraid of bees, you're safe with the Osmo, okay? Because you won't get stung here. So the delight of God's creation. We have a line on our sunrise stroll and chat to be the bee. To be the bee. And not the fly. Because the fly goes for the garbage and the bee goes for the nectar and turns it into honey.
There you go.
But maybe the flies have a positive role as well that we're not familiar with, or that I'm not familiar with. So here we are at the Sea of Galilee, and may I present to you our people today we have here visiting, Pilgrims. Can you believe it? After a year and a half, we have Pilgrims here, and here we have Pastor Bill and his wife Julie, and then we have Kenny, and I haven't heard all the names, Susan and Jeff, Cloha, and Kim. Welcome. So this is the Cindy's over here, and then we have a guy stealing drone pictures over here at the back. He's over there between the trees, but we leave him have it there. So isn't it wonderful to have people here from Texas, from Austin, right?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Why did I say Austin?
Well, that's pretty close.
Okay, but we were up there in Mount Arbel the other day, and I was looking at the bus in the parking lot, and I said to them, "Look, we have a bus parked overnight." And the joy of having the Pilgrims back in Magdala is something else. So I heard you have quite a long trip. It's like 2 full weeks or something?
Almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks. Yeah, that's good. That's generous to have that extra time. It's excellent.
Blessing to be here.
It's excellent. That's wonderful. I'm a little bit wondering what we should do now, but we'll definitely look at the scriptures a little bit, and then maybe we can talk a bit about your impressions here. How about that? And we're doing a stroll and chat, so you're all young and healthy and energetic and sportly. So we'll walk just even a little bit down along here, because we do a stroll and chat in Magdala. You know, it's about getting out there and strolling, seeing God's creation, and chatting. It's not been. It's been a type of chat that's just been almost like a one-way street, although there are comments here. But here we could have a more significant chat. It's in the sense more significant. How can you weigh that either? But oh, did you guys get the reflection on the window? Or you can do that tomorrow morning. Let's do. You do that if you're up here. You do it tomorrow morning because that's a very nice reflection on the wind of Ducanalton. So I'm not sure if everybody got to see the readings today, but we've a big switcheroo in the readings today because the pattern is always to have a first reading and a gospel, and the first reading is followed by a psalm. And for a long time we've been reading from the Pentateuch, from the first 5 books of the Bible, and also the book of Joshua and Judges. So we just got through Judges and Ruth. Actually, the last 2 days we had Ruth on Friday and Saturday, and on Sunday we have a different plan for readings with 3 readings. So today we're starting Thessalonians, so we're jumping into the New Testament, but we still have the Psalm from the Hebrew scriptures, our Greek scriptures as they were. And we have a lot of meat in the readings today, very challenging, very positive note from Paul. We see his passion, his convictions, and we see the fruit of that in the communities that rise up around the eastern Mediterranean here, eastern northeast corner of the Mediterranean, with Paul's ministry. And he's very enthusiastic about the community of believers in Thessalonica. He says that their word has gone out beyond their own domain, and they are filled with love for God. And he is writing from the heart and core of love of God. I wonder if we ever wrote a letter. Did you ever write a letter to anybody filled with the love of God expressed? Interesting thought, isn't it? And when Paul starts all his letters, the beginning of all his letters are so fascinating in that sense that he's reaching out to his people from the core of God. His identity is the core of God. He doesn't start talking about the weather. Isn't it interesting? He doesn't start talking about the last sports reports. And it's also interesting, I remember as a child growing up, you meet somebody say, God bless you, or God bless the work. The farmers passing by each other in the farms. So it was also a culture that had adopted those expressions, which at the end of the day could also become just very formalistic. For example, in the supermarkets in Bavaria, I worked 11 years in Germany, the register said Grüß Gott, Greek God, right? And when I remember walking through once in Cologne, I was very new in German time. I did 11 years working in Germany. And I said to somebody in the street, Grüß Gott, I was just walking by, And he looked at me and said, you greet him if you see him. It was like a rejection of that. And then it becomes just a formality that it's like a handshake. You can shake hands with so many people, and then it can become a routine, and then it loses its meaning. It's just like you do it anyway. Like it's just that. That could also apply even to hugs. It could become just a formality. It could lose the connection between the heart and the mind and the physicality.
It's part of the blessing of coming here. Is the chance to sort of have that sense of God, because we can do that even with His Word.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they can hear you now, Pastor Bill.
We can do that with God's Word. We can hear it and read it and be in it, and it can become almost kind of rote. But one of the great things about coming here is that recharge that happens. We've had several of our folks say that they're not going to read the Scriptures the same way.
Right. Exactly. So then the physicality is recovered, the tangibility. And I love talking about that in terms of the incarnation, that God became flesh, and sometimes we go so abstract and we go into more philosophical mode, into more just culture mode, which also have their places, but to allow that whole communication of God through, very nice, yeah. I guess that's the part I didn't reflect in that way, but just trying to see him from this angle, putting the heartiness back into the faith, right? So, and then we have the opposite end of the spectrum in a way in the gospel, which Jesus is criticizing, with the religious leaders of the time and the religious culture of the time that has become a lot of formalities that take the emphasis off God. and he's criticizing very powerfully actually in the exercise of swearing. So how do we do that today? How do we tell people, you got to believe what I'm saying? And we have some ways of emphasizing it. And obviously in legal process, there's swearing on the Bible, right? And for a court case to tell the truth and only the truth and the fullness of the truth. And yet it's so easy, swayed by so many interests, that also is only a formality. And people pursue their own line. But in normal conversation as well, maybe in more religious cultures there has been a use. I remember as a child hearing people saying words like "by God." That's a very powerful expression, "by God." It's very far away from, let's say, the principle in the Jewish tradition, not even to mention the name of God. And the condemnation that Jesus gives pretty strongly today and verbally in the gospel about swearing by the sacrifice on the altar, the offering, and not swearing by the altar, because the altar gives the value to the sacrifice. And then swearing by the altar, not swearing by God. And then down the road he's going to say to them, don't swear at all. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And the quest for us to live truth is not so easy, is it? To live truthfully, to express what's in our heart and bring it out completely into our lives. It's the big challenge, to bring all that together in our lives, in every way. Maybe even there can be a type of institutionalization of family life in relationships between parents and children, between spouses. How much formality happens and is carried out, and then we have sad cases of breakdowns because so much has been going on. Normally, I thought everything was okay, and there's already a letter from the lawyer that it's breaking up, and like one party seems taken by surprise, but it speaks a lot to the lack of fullness of full-hearted communication between the couple, right?
Well, it really goes to the issue of presence. Truth and presence go together. Are you
a little louder, so I'm closer to the phone.
Issue of presence. Are you really present with your spouse or with your kids? Are you tuned into what they're saying? Because you may speak truth and be present with them, but if they're not with you there, they don't hear it, they don't recognize it, they don't see it. And as you say, I know of families where all of a sudden the one party is served with divorce papers, and they're looking around saying, "What in the world happened?"
Right.
It seems so fun.
Right. So it's an issue of humanity, really, to cope with, for not just humanity in general, for each one of us as human beings in particular, to cope with that we're behind what we're doing, that we're behind what we're saying, that we're not doing just formalities. And especially I would say that you're Lutherans and I'm Catholic, and if our traditions, because you cannot, so I remember once with a group of kids in Germany near Frankfurt, when we were gathered in a hunting lodge. It was a very nice place. I think we'll go up here because or we can stay by the water if you like the water. How often are you going to stroll by the Sea of Galilee at dawn again? One more day. And then you're going up to Jerusalem. It looks like down to Jerusalem, north to south, but actually you're going up to Jerusalem, right? So I'm just going to get a picture from this angle as well, because you're going to be like silhouetted here, and it's just great to see pilgrims here at the Sea of Galilee. It's just, we love this. So let's keep strolling here we're going slowly today. I usually go a bit faster, but it's more practical with the bigger group to wander along here. So do any of you have a word of wisdom for our people? Was it a difficult process to come in terms of bureaucracy, testing, all of that story? A Julie question. Was it a difficult process to come here? Because everybody would like to come, you know. I mean, I think there's a ton of people watching this and going to watch it, and they're going to be so envious and so jealous that you guys are here and that they're not here. And that's okay, because we all have to deal with jealousies and envies every single day, and we become better people and free of those. But was it difficult to get here? Was it a lot of challenges?
There were a lot of challenges, a lot of paperwork, a lot of...
Let's go this side here so we can see the fullness of the sunlight on your face, Julie.
No, you cannot come. We went back and forth many times.
Uh-huh.
And in the end, God opened the door and we just went with it.
And were there a lot of bureaucratic hurdles?
There was just a lot of paperwork that had to get done.
Uh-huh.
And the sooner you got it done and you got the approval to come in,
Uh-huh.
I think our group, I think we're just very blessed to be here. We didn't, so many people were not able to come or would have to quarantine, and we just were blessed not to have to do that. We just got to come in and enjoy God's creation.
Can we talk about the tests?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
Oh,
Quarantine.
Yeah. So, well, we did not have to quarantine.
Okay.
Until we got, when we first come in here, you get your PCR test, and then they test your serological, make sure you have antibodies. You have to have both of those clear to come into the country, and you're quarantined until that time, which is usually 24 hours. Unfortunately, we had 2 people that had to go home because one of the...
Say that again, Julie?
We had 2 people that flew all the way here and ended up having to leave because they did not have the antibodies. They had no antibodies, and
Wow.
so part of the requirement is you have to have a negative COVID test and positive antibodies. And so they came, they were here for a few days and quarantined, and then they had to just fly home. So you get tested a lot while you're here, and you get tested again before we leave. Hopefully we're all clear to go home.
Yes.
But I guess you get stuck here.
Well, if you don't, if you have to stay for an extra couple of weeks, we have work here for volunteers, Julie.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. But I don't think everybody would.
Right. People need to get home to their families. Okay, I think we're gone overboard with time, partly because an Irishman was speaking so much. But do you have any nice words of wisdom or thoughts, experience being here? Some was already said, but something you'd like to add this morning?
It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. I hope everyone watching gets the opportunity to come and see God's creation here.
Fantastic.
For me, it's just such a joy to be here that it makes us realize to not take for granted what's around us. Always. So for the people that are here, we live in such a rich, God-filled environment that you really need to just understand and know that. Be a part of it. Because we have just read about it. And this brings it to such reality when you're here.
Excellent, Kenny. And Jeff, I want to put a word in for you. Or did you have a word to say first?
Well, yeah, it's just wonderful to have the time away and focused on the Word, focused on sharing the Word with one another, and not being distracted by work or other things. So that's been the real joy to just be focused all the time in the Word, in the place where it happens.
I'm going to give you 1 minute for an ad, for a commercial. And the ad is the following. Could you just tell us, what's your position at the Museum of the Bible?
I'm the Chief Curator at Museum of the Bible.
Chief Curator at the Museum of the Bible. And you have a new exhibit coming shortly.
We do, in March for Lent, on the Shroud of Turin.
The Shroud of Turin.
Interactive, fun exhibit to help people learn more about Jesus, his life and death and resurrection.
Fantastic.
And this object which has inspired so many people.
Awesome. This is wonderful. So let's say a big goodbye here to everybody, and we thank you very much for coming and joining us this morning. And we're absolutely delighted. So here we have 2, 4, 6, 7. That's a biblical number. And seven sunshines looking at the sunshine. You see, some days if it's very cloudy, we say that you have to be the sunshine in your family today. People, I have to do your little selfie moment, but I'll do it here with all these pilgrims in the background. It's me, I was here today. God bless you. See you later, alligators.